for your efforts so far. I know that's quite a lengthy process nowadays, isn't it, signing into places like this, but we appreciate your patience with all of that. Welcome to our 2021 New Parents Information Evening. My name's Christian Martino, and I'm the Assistant Principal Student Development here at the Flinders Park campus. As part of my role, I'm really privileged to lead the 7 to 12 wellbeing team in supporting your child here at Nazareth Catholic Community. And as I'm sure you would agree, this is a role best done as a partnership between caregivers and staff, and we really do look forward to having a long-standing relationship with you throughout your child's time here and beyond. Tonight will be an opportunity to hear from some of our Nazareth leadership team about important issues pertaining to the Year 7 students, to introduce our extended leadership team across the community, and for you to meet with your child's house coordinator. As we progress through the night, you will no doubt have many questions. And in order to ensure that we answer all of them, we'd love it if you could take out your device, please, and log on to www.slido.com. It'll give you a little prompt to enter a code, and the code is #NAZ21. I checked this earlier today and it was all working. Just in case it isn't, maybe write those questions in your notepad or something in there, and if you email them through to us, I will endeavour to sort of put those answers together and send them out to you all. And in addition to that, any slides, anything that we present tonight, either as house coordinators or for this part of the evening, will be available for you as well. To begin the night's proceedings, I would like to welcome to the stage Mr. Joe Hicks, Assistant Principal, Religious Identity and Mission, to lead us in prayer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martino, and it's wonderful to be here with so many fantastic families here, so thank you for being with us. I'd like to invite Juliana Martino, our Community Development Leader, who's going to help me with prayer as well. But as always, before we begin prayer, we're going to acknowledge the sacred land we gather on tonight.
Nina Mani, Ghana Yerda, Nadlu, Yalaka, Karendi Yerda, Kara Wira Parry.
We acknowledge this is Ghana country.
We stand today on the land
of the Red Gum Forest River, River Torrens.
At Nazareth, we acknowledge that the land that we meet on today
is the traditional land for the Ghana people.
We're on Ghana ground!
And that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country.
We also acknowledge the Ghana people
as the traditional custodians of the Adelaide region.
And that their cultural and heritage beliefs
are still as important to the living Ghana people of today.
We pay our respects to our elders,
past, present and future. We thank you for sharing and caring for the land we learn and play on.
we pay our respects to the cultural authority of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, visiting and attending from all areas of South Australia and Australia.
We commit ourselves to the ongoing journey of reconciliation.
We share with you our friendship and kindness.
Beautiful. And just to share with you, we have a little tradition here amongst our amazing community. When we gather for prayer, we always finish with Jesus of Nazareth, and then that's an invitation for even you tonight to say, pray for us. So you'll find when Juliana finishes the prayer, I invite you to respond if you would like. But as always, let's start with the sign of the cross. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Loving God, you are the giver of all we possess, the source of all of our blessings. So we praise and thank you. Thank you for the gift of our new families here tonight, who are joining the family which is Nazareth Catholic Community. This is an important moment in time, and we thank you for it.
May your Holy Spirit help our young people to grow in faith, hope and love, so they may know peace, truth and goodness. May their ears hear your voice. May their eyes see your presence in all things. May their lips proclaim your word. May their hearts be your dwelling place. May their hands do works of charity. May their feet walk in the way of Jesus of Nazareth, your Son and our Lord. Amen. Jesus of Nazareth, pray for us.
Father and Son and Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Thank you, and it's my great privilege now to introduce our new substantive college principal, Mr. Andrew Baker. If we could make him feel welcome, thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Hicks. Evening, everyone. Wonderful to see so many people here tonight. Very warm welcome, a little warmer than we would have liked. Warm welcome here tonight. I won't be offended if you're on your phone during my speech, because Mr. Martino said you could be. So if you've got any questions, make sure you fill those through on that site. Absolutely delighted to be with you this evening. Can I begin by thanking you for making what I think is the best decision you could have, and that is enrolling your child here at Nazareth. We understand the complexity around that decision of choosing the right school for your child. It's not a responsibility that we take at all lightly. And tonight, hopefully you're going to hear a little bit more about the things that we have in place to make sure that the transition for your child to the secondary campus is as smooth as it can be. And of course tonight we have a number of people who are part of our primary campus. We have a number of people from a range of other environments and schools as well. You're all very welcome, and a lot of the things we'll talk about with transition has that in mind, that we have people from a range of different contexts and environments, and we'll make sure that we look after all students. I'm hardly going to say anything different because they pay me to, but this is a great school, terrific. I've been here since the start of this term and have felt very welcome, very, very warm welcome. Really enjoyed the engaging nature of the students. Really enjoyed the professional approach of the staff and everything that I've seen. One of the first few events I was at was the Year 12 graduation. It's absolutely beautiful. And in that same week, we were welcoming our new receptions up at the Findon campus as well. That journey of Art of 12, and it was terrific. So I felt very welcome, and I'm sure that you will too, and I'm absolutely sure that your children will when they come along to this campus. What makes us different as a school, the very obvious difference, is that we are a Catholic school. We are unapologetic about that. It is very important to us, and it's part of the fabric of who we are. And it underpins everything that we do. And what makes a Catholic school Catholic? Well, it's a pretty tricky question these days, but for me, really, it comes down to the quality of the relationships that exist and the things that happen within the school, the way that we interact with one another, the way that we forgive, the way that we move forward, the way that we speak to one another. All of those things underpin a Catholic education. And again, I'm sure you'll start to hear some of that and understand that tonight. And the real meaning of Catholic education is that, the respect that we develop and that we demonstrate in our relationships. And the obvious relationships are between staff and students, students and students, staff and parents. And then there's an important relationship, you and your children. And so all of those, everything that we do is underpinned by the respect that we have for one another and the way that we work together. So we do work in partnership with you as parents. This is the start of it, and you're demonstrating that partnership by being here tonight. You know, studies would say up to about 50 to 60% of your child's learning comes from you. And so we have an aspect, obviously, and a significant role to play, but it comes from you as parents. So that's really important. And look, we will provide as many opportunities as we can for you to be actively engaged in this community as well. And I encourage you to be a real presence for your son or daughter here at Nazareth, because it supports their learning, it tells them that you are interested, and of course, if we have a relationship, when we have wobbles, and we will, we can work through those things, because it's going to be based on a relationship of trust and a place of knowing each other. Our school then, in turn, will ask for your support of our work. and we've got a very, very dedicated staff, a number of them you will meet tonight, and they deserve your support and your encouragement as well. And here at Nazareth, we believe that every student is unique and important, and we know in this journey in the next little bit, and it probably has been for some of your children already, for some, school is great and fun and they can't wait to get there, etc. For others, it's not so easy, and it can be a bit tricky, and they've got to navigate some interesting waters. Irrespective of who they are and what they bring to this community, we will work with them, and we will work with them on the journey to make sure they get to the point that they want to get to, and that you will support them to do that as well. So in essence, I think Nazareth is about, and I love it, because it doesn't pigeonhole itself as any particular thing, a specialist school in this or that. We're a great all-rounder. We're here because we want people, whatever young people bring, their gifts, their talents, whatever they are, we want them to flourish here at Nazareth. And as I said, make sure that when they leave this school, they leave ready to meaningfully contribute to society, because that's the role for us as educators. So no doubt you've got a number of questions and concerns. That's partly why you're here. Some of you may already have siblings here, so you might not have as many questions. Some of you, this is your first experience of Nazareth, and you're wondering what we do here and what happens. So again, feed those questions through. But tonight's about filling in the picture for you a little bit more. The one unknown that we can't know at the moment is just how your son or daughter will adjust to life here on the senior campus at Nazareth. And so all I can say is I can talk about my welcome. It, as I said, was very warm, very, very caring, very friendly, and people were engaged. And that's what I see in the students as I walk around this school as well, the way that they interact with one another. We're blessed with our facilities, including the exciting addition of our new Year 12 centre, the St Gabriel Centre, that's coming online or starting next year, that we're opening up, which is great. But at the end of the day, school's much more than buildings. It's what happens inside those walls. And so we'll start talking about some of those things here today. We know that education's rapidly changing. There's young people have never had so many opportunities upon leaving school, but conversely, I think never has the competition for those been so intense. So our role is to support your children over these next X amount of years, to give them every opportunity to achieve their own personal excellence, and as I said, to get to the place that they want to get to when they leave this school. So again, thank you for your attendance tonight. I really look forward to working with you, a long and productive association as we continue the faith and learning journey for your children. We will work together. We will make sure that we respect one another in our relationship as we go forward. And I hope tonight is really valuable for you understanding, as I said, filling in some of those gaps. So thanks for coming along. I would like to invite our Director of the Nazareth Catholic Community, Miss Anne Bliss, to address you tonight. Make her feel welcome. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you, Andrew, for that wonderful opening remarks to you, our new and ongoing members of our Nazareth community. This is a really exciting moment in time for Nazareth Catholic Community, not only with Andrew's appointment and with the Year 12 Centre, but there's a sense that we've travelled along with your child's, on your child's journey, because Nazareth's entering into its 14th year next year. So like your child, we're in those, exciting years of puberty and just getting ready to hit our straps and enter into a new era of excellence at Nazareth. So one of the things Andrew alluded to, which is very real about our community, is each of you here is on a different part of your journey at Nazareth. So I just want to get a sense in the room tonight, how many of you have been a part of Nazareth Catholic Community with your children since playgroups or the early childhood centre? Okay, take a look around. So some of you are transitioning with your child into Year 7, having been a part of our community for the last 12 or 13 years. That's extraordinary. How many of you are joining us having started at Nazareth in one of the primary years, so at the Findon campus? Great. So for all of those of you who have just raised your hands, I would like you to offer families new to our community the very best of Nazareth welcomes, please. So 1, 2, 3. Come on, welcome. Hands up if you're starting in our community for the first time next year. Okay, so again, all Nazarenes, please, 1, 2, 3. Welcome to you. That is wonderful. So you are all starting at different starting points in our community, but for each and every one of you, the child who's joining this campus in Year 7 next year is unique, and their transition journey is unique, okay? As Andrew said, our role with you is to support your child to make a successful transition. The very nature of transitions means that they're not always smooth. They can be bumpy at times. So our role is to work with you to make it as successful as possible, okay? So again, looking around you, the other exciting part about Nazareth, the time you are entering Nazareth, is that we have in here our largest Year 7 cohort ever in the history of Nazareth, okay? Now, one thing I want to say to you as the director of Nazareth Catholic Community, because from my very role through all of the leadership team and through every member of staff here, our role is to commit to you that your child will be known deeply and you will be known deeply. So our purpose statement here at Nazareth is we are called to love one another. So here in this largest cohort of Year 7 children transitioning into our Flinders Park campus, I'm here to tell you that there is enough love to go around, okay? And because what you've done is you've not just chosen a college experience for your child and your family, you've chosen a community. And Nazareth is a village community. And as we know, it takes a village to raise a child. So we are coming together to continue to support you. And each and every one of you here as parents or caregivers of these wonderful children have been providing them with their first, their ongoing and their most significant experience of love, faith and learning. That is the most significant job you will ever have, and we honour that as the leaders of this community, that you know your child the best. So if we're committed to know you and your child deeply, we need to work together on that. You've chosen us for a reason. Our job is to deliver on that. It's to deliver on the hopes and the dreams and the aspirations that you have for your children. And we can do that together because that's a great starting point, is that we have the same hopes and dreams and aspirations. That your child will thrive, that they will be capable learners on whatever learning path they take, and that they will become and are already, but will continue to form into leaders to make the world a better place. So we're on the same page already. So this partnership is something that I'm particularly looking forward to entering into with each of you, or continuing on that partnership path with most of you. And so I'll just reiterate again, because I really want you to go home with these words in your heart tonight. There is enough love to go around. Thank you, everybody.
Good evening, everyone, and as you can see, my name is Jeff Zahutsky and I'm the head of campus at Flinders Park. My role is probably and if we can just go to the next slide, Matt, to reinforce probably some information that you will receive from the house coordinators tonight when we break off from this particular session, and also information that will be reinforced to your son or daughter when we have our orientation day. So one of the first parts that you can see on the slide here is with our house and mentor groups. So you can see that we have 5 houses at Nazareth. The part that is pretty significant with these particular houses, and we'll talk a little bit around the 2 slides, is that our mentor groups which are inside that house are vertically aligned. So for your son and daughter starting in Year 7, when they have their MG or mentor group in the first 15 minutes of every morning, there will also be other Year 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, 11s and 12. which is in that particular mentor group. So as you can see from the slide there, we have 10 mentor groups per house. Some other little bits around that is the concept of mentoring is that our year 7s get buddied with our year 11s and 12s, our senior students, and they take them under the wing throughout their journey across at Nazareth. And probably what you will see is that mentor group teacher is the first point of call that your son and daughter will have in the morning. It is also the mentor group teacher that your son and daughter will have at year 8, 9, 10, 11, and to when they graduate as a year 12 student. So there is a real sense of connection for the houses, so they get a connection as being part of the Nazareth community, but they also get a deeper sense of belonging connection within their particular house where they learn the charism around their particular patron. And I know that the house coordinators that you will meet tonight will dive into that a little bit deeper. I think the part that strikes me for our students at Nazareth is probably for when you and I went to school as a year 7 or as a year 8 when we started high school, you didn't know many senior students. The support that our year 7s will have not only starts in the classroom in the mentor group and when we do the NAS Wellbeing program, which I'll talk a little bit later, but it's also around that passing hello, how you doing in the courtyard, in the gymnasium, or when they're moving between class. So when our either young people are trying to find and navigate their way around a fairly large, I suppose, surface area that is Nazareth, they've got plenty of support, not only their MG teacher, their wonderful house coordinators, but they've got students in their mentor group and in their house who can support them in that particular journey going through. So it is really quite unique. And when we say it, it's not just for words. When we're graduating our year 12s 2 weeks ago at our house assemblies, we visibly had some students in their MG crying with the loss almost that those students wouldn't be there in 2021. So significant around the house and the mentor groups. Thanks, Matt. So for families, for parents and for our students, the mentor group teacher is the first point of call. So they're the first people that you can call up, email, and have calls or conversations around anything that you might have some concerns. Now, it can be from uniform, it can be from timetable, it might be just anything around transition, it might be upcoming appointments or some illness or holidays or anything like that. That MG teacher is the frontline person or the first level of support. Remember, they are walking with them along with the house coordinator and all the staff and the support service that we provide at Nazareth from the day that they start on the Flinders Park campus as a year 7 right till they transition to year 12. So they're really significant in that particular journey. I know that you will meet one middle school house coordinator today, but I just really want to emphasise in actual fact, even though we have a middle school house coordinator is years 7 to 9, and we have a senior house coordinator that is years 10 to 12, they actually have a shared partnership. So there is 2 house coordinators that oversee and provide pastoral, academic and wellbeing support for our young people in that house. And they're actually share an office. So for any particular time that your son and daughter cannot find their actual middle school or MG teacher, there is another house coordinator and other MG teachers that are located in the same building that can support your young person through whatever they may have. So that is really significant. The other part is around that for the families that have been connected with Nazareth a little bit longer, we've really moved into a reception to year 12 wellbeing program that has been led by Mr. Martino and his wellbeing team. And for our year 7s, they will engage in that wellbeing program next year. So we have 4 lessons of pastoral care, 2 on a Monday and 2 on a Friday. And for 2 of those, one of those doubles, which is predominantly on the Friday, the students at year 7 will obviously look at building relationships, given that a number of the year 7s come from all different feeder schools and from our local primary school, to build relationships in the MG and across their classes and their point groups and their heart and smart classes, which I know that Miss Donnan will speak to when she's on the stage. We'll obviously talk around teamwork. We'll also look around time management and organisational skills. And I think the most important part that we will look around is the use of the IT device, where we have Sector, which is a learning management system. It's an online platform system, which is a one-stop shop for our young people. It has their timetables, it has their reports, it has feedback, it has their email facility, and I think that the other part is around any assignments and due dates. The great part around it is that for families, you'll have your own login as well, and whether that's on the mobile device or on your own laptop. So it is in real time, so there is no surprises. And as parents, and as a parent myself who uses this particular platform, I love it. It keeps me connected with my son, and also there's no surprises, and we can actually organise our week, especially as our young people become more involved in extracurricular activities at the school and the wider community. We can actually organise our weeks accordingly for that. So that wellbeing program is really significant. And I think the most important part is around the student development focus and the social advantages with students interacting, because you will find inside the Nazareth Wellbeing Program is that students within the Dominic House, which I'm obviously aligned to, will obviously meet other students in other mentor groups across that journey as well. So a little bit around our mentor group structure. Thanks, Matt. Something that you will hear a lot of from Nazareth is around the 5 habits of excellence. And as you can see, the 5 there, and the first 2 are pretty relevant. There is a high correlation around with Sector is that the MG teacher and the house coordinator will track attendance, and the high correlations is that the more days that students are in front of their teacher would obviously relate to higher academic achievement excess for our young people going forward. So we're really emphasis around missing minimal number of days in front of their teacher, which then dovetails nicely around the characteristics that employers and that what we look for in our young people is around punctuality and being punctual on time and prepared. And the third one there is around application, really significant, and I know for all of the parents in the room is that application is around students just being the best version of themselves. I know that grades are one thing. I know for my own son is that it's actually not the grade that I'm looking around, it's the attitude and effort, it's the application. If that's not where it should be, then I've probably got cause for concern with, I suppose, my son, why that's not there. But if I can see that the application and the attitude and effort is there, then I think that's all what we ask of our young people. The next one is around work completion, and we don't apologise for this, but one of our, I suppose, stances is that our quality assurance, I suppose, is that we demand that we get every piece of work in from every one of our students from year 7 to 12. I suppose that comes from having Sector. You already see what assignments have been released and when the due dates are. We really demand of our teachers that when they're releasing assignments that there are checkpoints along the journey. So if there is a 2-week window for a particular assessment task that needs to be completed, that probably at the halfway mark there is a progress check where the teacher is seeing where your child is actually at, and if it is not to the point where it is, then you will obviously be communicated either via an email through Sector notification, or there will be a communication that you will have via obviously a phone call, and then there will be a follow-up, and we have a work completion program here. So really about accountability and a quality assurance that we get every piece of the work in for all of our particular subjects that our students undertake. And probably the last one is around involvement, and what we ask for all of our young people is that they are at least doing something each particular semester. Being a large school, which is well resourced and with great facilities, as Andrew has pointed out, there's a number of varieties of activities that your son and daughter can be involved in. Sports, when you've got 1,300 students on a campus, then you can afford to put in a number of teams. We have 65 teams just competing in winter sports, so ranging from basketball, soccer to table tennis to volleyball. We offer a variety of different music, whether it's jazz, rock, ensemble, vocal, and we have student leadership, which will be chosen by week 8 of term 1 next year for our year 7s. We have a number of social justice initiatives. We have chess, we have debating, we have culture club, and we also have pedal pre. So there is something for everybody. any interest that sparks your son and your daughter. And I think the greatest part around the 5 habits of excellence is that our house coordinators and our mentor group teachers monitor this, and when they meet those criteria, you'll find that the 5 habits award is actually on the semester reports going forward. So with that, we move into what looks for a timetable for the Flinders Park campus. Now, for many, even our current families, this has been a slight change with having the St. Gabriel Centre on board. So just a couple of things to identify, and I don't want to steal the house coordinator's thunder too much, but you can see that the 15 minutes in the morning for mentor group, and I will indicate that one of those mornings, and I'll just use Dominic, so on a Wednesday morning, the whole house meets in this particular facility where the MG teacher, 1 MG of the 10, will run a session which will be prayer and a particular activity, and they come together. So you can see the first 15 minutes for MG. You'll notice there's a movement time built straight in after MG. Our Year 12s have the option of being in the mentor group in the morning if particular subjects are run on the Flinders Park, and if not, there's a movement time for them to walk across to the St. Gabriel Centre. And then you can see there's a double, 75 minutes between the movement time and recess. Then we've got recess and we have a double, then another movement time, and then another double before we go to lunch. And if we just reduce that back, Matt, you'll see then we have a double that is run after lunch. So you can see that particular component. And you can see the 2 mentor group times. So the Monday session, 12:15 to 1:30. In this particular facility, if we're holding any liturgical celebrations or academic assemblies, it is held in this particular facility on Monday. So it gives us preparation time to set up and pack away. And the Friday is designated to the Nazareth Wellbeing Program accordingly. Which just leaves us to the last slide. What does an actual timetable look like for our young people? So just having a bit of a look at this, you'll see that this is actually a Macaulay student, because you can see at the top there, it's got John Caruana and it's got MC at the top, and I'll talk around the building names. But something to just designate there that you'll see, if I look at the Monday in the first slot, lesson 1, you've got LAN, which stands for languages. You've got, this is for semester 1, that it's in Italian. The SC has got a building name, so just so you'll sleep comfortable at night tonight, the SC is St. Cecilia, which is just to my right above the music. Just for families, and lots of our young people will get plenty of exposure when they did in term 3 on their transition visit, and once again in their orientation, which will happen in term 4. The 2 stands for level 2, and 203 is the room. So if you see a 1 in front of the number, then you know it's on the ground floor. So there's a few tricks to the trade, and remember that your young person is buddied up with a number of students in their mentor group who will support them. But in this particular example, you can see it's Italian, SC is St. Cecilia, level 2, and it's got Miss Barber for Italian. Now, there's 4 lessons of that. You can see it on a Thursday afternoon. I am not going to steal Miss Donnan's thunder, because you'll notice that there are 12 lessons of heart, which is in GB, which is the Galilee building, with Miss Bonnie, who's our MacKillop Middle Years house coordinator, and you'll see there's 12 lessons, and that's dovetailed with a smart teacher. So I'll let Miss Donnan talk around heart and smart, and you can see the smart teacher is with Mr. Iconis in the same room. So they actually share the same class across 24 lessons. And as I've already indicated, you'll see Mr. Caruana has got MG on the Monday as well. Some other little noticeable bits in there is that there's expressive arts, which is in the performing arts space, or what we call TB, which is the Trinity building. But you would have seen, if you've done a tour here, it's got the mirrors in there where the dance and drama occurs in that particular component. And the other part that you would see is there's some PE, which has got some transportables with Miss Seddon on a Tuesday afternoon, because there's some theory that is incorporated, part of the health component that is run in this particular program, and in the particular gym on a Friday after our NAS Wellbeing program on a Friday morning. So just little bits, but you'll pick that up, because when you look at your sector package on your phone, you'll get a dashboard, And at any particular time, you can see your son and daughter's timetable, homework that is set, any results that have been returned. It's fantastic. I love it. So without any further ado, and I probably should indicate there will also be a diary that supports our Year 7s, which has the maps in it and all of this particular information, in particular around for families to learn a little bit more around their patron and what they stand for around their charism as well. But any day, thank you so much for your presence tonight, and it is my pleasure to hand over to Miss Martina, our Community Development Leader. Please make her feel welcome.
Thanks, Jeff. As we've mentioned before, we aspire to be a place of welcome and connection where all feel loved and valued for who they are, and we really encourage that you get involved in the community. This is your family's community, and we create this together. So we do invite you to be involved in the different ways as this sustains our community. It helps our well-being, and it connects our faith family to all members of the community. So just a little bit about my team. So we offer a range of support services across the campuses, and in conjunction with the counsellors, we work together. The family and pastoral support services, as you can see, we have Sister Teresa Swiggs, Sister Amelia Fatima, Sharon Ferdinand and Samuel Luau. And they provide practical support for our families, particularly with refugee experience. We also have a lot of connections with external services such as Centre Care, and we also support families in times of grief, loss and trauma. Our community services officers regularly meet with the students to support the student wellbeing and community engagement. And as you can see, we have Katrina Braham, Hayley Moffat and Morella Romeo. We also have our community cafes, so very important points of connection, and this is where I invite you to come along. They're supported by our cafe coordinators, so that's Maria Macalino. She works over both sites and will as well over the St Gabriel Centre. And then Sandra Canelos is here at Flinders Park, and Susan is at the Findon campus. And as I said, they provide vibrant hubs of connection, and really, we really would love you to come along. I think that's it from me. I'd now like to have Joe back on stage.
Thank you again. So I'm here to talk about, just briefly, Catholic identity, and I thought I'd start with a quote. Now, I can't get a quote directly from God, but as Catholics, the next best thing might be Pope Francis. So what does he have to say about Catholic identity? So I quote, "The Catholic school can and must be a catalyst, a place of encounter and convergence for the entire community. Our shared objective is to form the young, helping them to grow to maturity as simple, competent and honest people who know how to love with fidelity, who know how to live life as a response to the call of God, and who will engage in their future profession as a service to society." So I like that. So this challenge I saw resonates with Catholic Education South Australia and their vision for young people, and certainly resonates with Nazareth Catholic College and community. So I have the great fortune of working across our R12 college as we embark upon this invitation. And how do we do it? Well, just very quickly, religious education. So from R12, we really want our curriculum to be cutting edge, to be recontextualised, so relevant, theologically contemporary, which challenges our young people as to where they're at and really challenges them to think and to be open to faith. Retreats, year-level retreats, providing opportunities where our staff and our young people can have powerful formational experiences, both spiritually and mentally and physically. Faith formation, variety of ways, whether it's liturgy, relevant celebrations within the life of our church, presentations within our curriculum as well. Students will be given many opportunities to be formed in faith, but also knowing the place that they are at in their lives and understanding that we are in dialogue with the many faith stories of others that are in our community. So we have many families from other faith and religious traditions, and we are very open and celebrate that as an inclusive community. And the final one is social justice, where it's all about that faith in action, where we put, in a sense, the foot to the pedal and actively promote service and action opportunities for our staff and our students right throughout the community, because it's not just about forming the head, of course, it's the heart and also the hands as well, to be people of justice as Jesus of Nazareth was, who we're named after, of course, and also our patrons here. So certainly look forward to journeying with your young person and your family as a community of faith that celebrates diversity, is inclusive, but certainly has the love of all at the centre of everything we do. I'd like to introduce Ms. Rebecca Donnan now, who's our Deputy of Curriculum. If we can make her feel welcome, please.
Thank you, Joe, and good evening, everybody. I just want to talk a little bit more about the teaching and learning and the curriculum structures that we have in place for your child moving into Year 7 next year in 2021. So, Matt, if we could move forward, please, to that next slide. Thank you. As Jeff showed you, our timetable structure is very deliberate and very planned. So just to explain the breakdown of your child's week. Across the course of the week, we obviously have 8 lessons each day over the 5 days of the week, which means we have a total of 40 lessons. It's divided quite deliberately into various learning areas, and as Jeff indicated, we have some interesting programs called Heart and Smart. So Heart is Humanities, English and Religion together, which is taught over the course of 12 lessons during the week. Taught by one teacher also, and very much an integrated program between those 3 areas that show the connections between those subjects and provide some really relevant opportunities for some of those social justice initiatives that Joe was just talking about. The other subject is Smart, Science, Mathematics and Related Technologies. Again, combining those 3 learning areas into some very interesting integrated assessment, which still involves the rigour of each of those subjects, but looking for opportunities for real life connections and opportunities to apply learning in that real situation. Again, 12 lessons taught by one teacher in particular. So for each of your children, they have 2 teachers that they spend a lot of time with during the course of the week. And in terms of additions to their support network when they're here at school, their mentor group teacher is obviously that first port of call, as we've talked about this evening already. There is their house coordinator, but they also find that there's their 2 Heart and Smart teachers. So if they have an issue, they've lost their pencil case, they can't find something in particular, they might decide to also go to their Heart or Smart teacher and check in with them too. Health and physical education obviously takes up 4 lessons during the course of the week. And as Jeff mentioned already, one of those lessons is a theory-based lesson for the health program. The other 3 are physical activity lessons. And your child will wear their PE uniform on the days when they have health and PE scheduled. So they don't need to change. They can wear their uniform to and from school. Language also is allocated 4 lessons during the course of the week, and it was the one choice that you and your child had as coming into Year 7 next year about whether they wish to pursue Italian or Japanese. We also have some students who will undertake literacy support during that time as well, so if they have some particular learning needs and would benefit from that program, then they're invited to be part of that program instead of undertaking Italian or Japanese. The arts also takes up 4 lessons during the course of the week. And as Jeff mentioned, we have some amazing facilities here at the Flinders Park campus where those lessons do occur. And every student has the opportunity to experience drama, dance, music and visual arts with a specialist teacher in a specialist facility. And they get a real opportunity to experience that subject before they decide if that's something they'd like to continue with through Year 8, maybe even into Year 9, and then possibly into their senior years of schooling here at Nazareth. As Jeff mentioned, we also deliberately allocate time in our timetable for our mentor group and for our wellbeing program. That time together for our MGs, for our mentor groups, is really important. It's that opportunity for connection, it's that opportunity for peer mentoring, it's that opportunity for friendship and connection with their MG teacher, so that they've got that well-developed support network while they're here at our school. And of course, that adds to our 40 lessons over the course of each week. Thank you, Matt. If we can move forward to the next slide, please. Just to point out that for the case of our textbooks and resources and things like that your child might need, there are some textbooks that do need to be purchased. We find if our students actually own their textbook, they take much better care of it and they look after it. Of course, some of those resources are also electronic access to books too. And you can make that decision together with your child about whether you prefer the electronic access or the actual physical hard copy textbook. We have a book list which outlines all of the requirements for each of the individual subjects, and that's due out any day now. I think actually that's going to be ready and it will be sent to you. We do have a preferred supplier, and if you prefer to use Lighthouse Books, they do make the process very simple for you. You can order online, you can go and pick it up from them, or they could even deliver it to your house. That's my preferred choice. They just rock up in a lovely box in January, it's great. But of course, if you wanted to, you can take that list and shop those particular stationery items somewhere else if you would prefer. That part's your decision, but obviously we do have a wonderful relationship with Lighthouse Books over many years, and they've looked after us very well. Just to reassure you also, obviously it is the same Australian curriculum that you've been experiencing with your child through reception to Year 6 that we use here in terms of the preparation of our teaching and learning programs and our assessment. So it's that very same Australian curriculum, and that continues right through to Year 10, where obviously then SACE begins, and it's those SACE subject outlines that do take over after that. We do have a variety of assessments that we provide students to demonstrate their learning and to demonstrate their understanding, and in some cases to demonstrate their amazing talents and abilities too. Those details, as Jeff suggested, are always provided in sector so that students have plenty of notice, and you as parents have plenty of notice of when those deadlines are occurring, what the task is, what the details are, what your child needs to do to be successful. One important part of Nazareth is that we also have performance standards, and they're attached to every single assessment task. So there's a description about, well, what does an A look like for this particular task in this particular subject? What would a B look like? What does a C look like? And as part of that assessment process, the teacher is able to give feedback about what your child did do well, where they were performing perhaps at that A standard, perhaps at that B standard, or perhaps at that C standard. And then they've also got solid information on to know how to improve so that next time they can continue to work on those aspects of that particular type of learning and improve further. All those details are provided via sector. So as soon as the task is marked and the teacher enters the results in sector, you receive a notification. And so in some cases, you might even know before your child does that their maths test result is up on sector. And what a great conversation that could be in your household that night when you talk about how well they did in that maths assessment task. I'm sure they will, all of them. Thank you. But it does mean that you do have that opportunity for that information to be shared and talked about with your child. You're just as aware as what they are. Likewise, and as Jeff mentioned, we don't like there to be any surprises along the way. So if your child is struggling with their learning, if they are struggling to demonstrate their achievement, and obviously perhaps not achieving in that A, B or C grade band, we would like to be in contact with you as soon as possible. We'd like to know, how can we help? What is it that we might need to do? What are some of the changes that we could make to help your child as well? So it very much is no surprises, please. We do want you to be involved in this journey with us so that we can ensure that your child does the best that they're capable of while they're here at the Flinders Park campus of Nazareth. And thank you. I think that's all from me.
Someone nicked my notes. So I'm sure you can agree that's a lot of information to digest, isn't it? But I suppose the big thing that we need to remember is the importance, I guess, of a successful transition, as Anne discussed very early on in the evening. So I did just want to talk about some of the elements of, what makes a successful transition for our young people. And I think even if you just cast your eyes over that list of things there, a lot of that's about dialogue, isn't it? It's about dialogue between you and your child. but also involving us in that entire process. So please rely on us, I guess as the experts, if you like, who have been through this for a number of years with children. Please always know that we're very easy to contact the staff here at Nazareth, whether that's the leadership team, whether that's the house coordinator, down to that mentor group teacher that your child will see every single day. So I think it's really important to gain a really good understanding of the possible impacts and challenges of transitioning, whatever it is that they might be. They're broad and they're very individual to each student. So we can only do this by having regular conversations. It might be around the dinner table or whatever it might be, but just make sure you understand what your child may be apprehensive about or might be excited about or whatever it is. Creating a plan for meeting some of the possible challenges is a great idea. You'll notice again as we work through these ideas that we're very much about the student being in control of their own well-being and in control of their own learning with our support. So we really like to work with them to come up with a plan of attack, a plan to work through things, but in doing that we're always there to sort of guide them, although it's led by them in this instance. Listening is important, and of course having confidence in your child. We know that they're able to get out there, that you would be amazed at what they can do. I know we have a tendency, I suppose, as parents to guide them through things, make sure that they're safe, but it's amazing what our young people can do when left to their own devices. As I said earlier though, it's always important that we're in the background monitoring that and making sure that they have our support. We want to provide opportunities for collaboration and open communication, as I said earlier, between the child, the school, and social networks is another important one to remember. So remember, this is a wide well that I suppose a lot of us as parents aren't aware of. Even us as staff, we need to be continually updating ourselves in what our young people are getting up to online. So please be aware of that sort of stuff and be in dialogue with your children. And also, I think most importantly is that last point there about encouraging your child to communicate with teachers. It's great to receive an email from a parent about some concerns in the classroom, but it's really important for us as a leadership team to encourage our staff to be approachable and to want to work with your children. So it is best case, I suppose, best process that students always approach the teacher first and try and work things out, and then we use those other external supports. So, and Matt, is that, yep. As it says there, as parents, as staff, as teachers, we need to be the anchor point that that your child needs. Even if the water is choppy and you're unsure, it is your job to role model. That's a responsibility of us as staff, and that's a responsibility of you as parents. So I suppose if you present yourself as apprehensive about things, young people are gonna take that on themselves. You need to show that you believe in them and that you're confident in doing that. But again, we are always here to approach if you need any support there. Some of the things that we know help and are helpful in that transition and supporting young people. And some of these can be quite challenging for parents, can't they? Parents holding limits and being the parent, not the friend. So having limits on things like social media, gaming, spending time with friends, all of that sort of stuff, all healthy, in balance, all right, needs to be in moderation. Things like sleep and digital technology, all right, we know that some of our young people that have the most challenges are a little bit out of balance with these sorts of things. And it's important to start those routines, to really get into a routine before high school hits. Nutrition and exercise, so eating well, making sure that we have active kids is also very important. And a routine, a study time and space is also very important, so that there are dedicated spaces and dedicated times for each of the different activities that are part of a young child's life. And we can't overstate it enough. Listen, listen, listen. It is very important to be in dialogue with our young people, and we really do value that. Brilliant. As Jeff, I think, spoke about mostly, just remember that these are some of the supports. We just want to reiterate this again. So that mentor teacher being the first port of call, all right, you'll get to know them really well over the course of your child's 6 years here at Nazareth. So please always be in open dialogue with them, whether it's by email or phone call. Subject teachers, so as Rebecca said, for heart and smart teachers, they'll see your child for 28 lessons a week, so it's important to be in constant dialogue with them. But as the child sort of progresses throughout high school, there'll be sort of more teachers with less contact, but it's important to know each teacher and, again, have that dialogue with them. The house coordinators were mentioned earlier. We have 2, so a 7 to 9 house coordinator and then a 10 to 12 as a senior house coordinator, so you'll get to know those really well. We also have a very supportive counselling team, and you can be referred on to counsellors, or your child might be referred on to counsellors from staff. That's just another group that we work in partnership with. And also, as Juliana talked about, is that community support team, so some of our cultural liaisons and some of the other staff that Juliana mentioned earlier. Excellent. Just some of the key events that are coming up. You would no doubt have many emails and letters and things with this sort of information in there, but just another reiteration of those. So obviously we are sitting right here in the Term 4 2020 Parent Info Night, so you've made that one, well done. In Term 1 we have another one of those very early up, just to sort of continue that connection, I suppose, with us. We have Orientation Day, which is on the 1st of December 2020, so that's an opportunity for all of our 2021 Year 7s to gather. I know we had those connection gatherings last term, and that was an opportunity for students to come out in their, I suppose, for the most part in their primary schools with a smaller group. This is the chance to meet everybody. So it's a big day, but a very fun-filled day, a bit of an opportunity to try out some of those subjects, which is great. That first day and that first week is really crucial because it's an opportunity for kids to sort of get their way around, to meet some of those key touchstones in terms of staff and other students. So we do a lot of orientation activities and bits and pieces so that the kids feel really comfortable coming over in that first week. And of course, something that a lot of Year 7s get really excited about, and some are very apprehensive about as well, is that Year 7 camp, and that goes from the 22nd to the 24th of March. So we'll obviously provide more information about that closer to the date, but again, a really exciting opportunity for the students to bond as a house, really, and forge some of those strong friendships and relationships too. Excellent, thanks, Matt. So the next part of the night is to move off into house gatherings with our middle school house coordinators. Just before I do that though, I think for the most part, most people that have come in have done this, but you'll know that as you walked in, there was a bit of a sign-in sheet, and Mr. Adam Lewis over there might hang around for a little bit longer, just in case you weren't able to sign in. I'll just get you to head there before you head to the next bit and get your name ticked off, please. And what I might also get us to do, house coordinators, is just go stand at a door that's close to the area where you're going, and I'll give them a couple of seconds to do that, and then I'll point them out in a moment. So just while they're taking their places there, you also would have noticed when you came in that there was a big board with lots of different colours as to which house your child might be in. So I'm the sorting hat here at Nazareth. If you're a Harry Potter fan, that was part of my role to do all of that. If there are, along with the house coordinators, if there are any issues about the house that your child's aligned to, I know that some people put in a preference or would have liked them to be in a certain house, please come and see me at the end or speak to the house coordinator that you're currently aligned with, and we can work through that. But in the meantime, for those of you who know you have a child who's going to be in Catherine House, that man with the green stripes over there is Mr. Matt Rushworth. We'll move all off in a second. I'll just point out to where everybody is, but that's the Catherine people, so if you could head with Mr. Rushworth over there at the door. The Dominic House students, it's Mr. Catalano over in that door to my right at the back over there. Just give us a wave, Mr. Catalano. So he's the Dominic man with the yellow stripes on his shoulders. Ms. Sheridan Bonney is at the door on my back left, and she is the middle school house coordinator for McKillop, so red stripes on the shoulders. And then Miss Kelly May is kind of near that goal, those goals over there. She is the Macaulay House middle school house coordinator, so she's got the white stripes on her shoulders. And then Mr. James Keating over here with the blue stripes on his shoulders, he's the